Hello, and welcome to the Gojenn podcast. I am your host, Gojenn, and you can find me as Gojenn on Ravelry and on Instagram. I think I'm Jen Clifton, Cliftn, on YouTube. And so that's where you can find me. This is a knitting and crochet podcast. The last time I talked to you was way back last year, 2016. I think it was New Year's Day maybe, or New Year's Eve, I'm sorry, or the day before that or something. And I was busy trying to figure out what I was going to use as my owl for the Harry Potter knitting and crochet house cup. So things have changed. So pull up your chair, get you something nice and warm to drink if you're cold like it is here, or something cold to drink. I like cold. Anyway, and see what you think about all these choices I've made. It's been really difficult. When I talked to you last, I was going to do the detention owl for the Harry Potter knitting and crochet house cup. And the way that works is you choose projects that have not been finished, and then you finish them in the 3-month time frame of an owl. All of this is on Ravelry, and it's just a game with make-believe points, and you play for your house, which I'm a Ravenclaw, and you know, it's just all pretend. It's just a game, and it's just for fun. But it does give me some push to get new things done, to try new things. Before I joined the House Cup, I was a confirmed crocheter. Never really thought I would ever knit. Well, I've been knitting now for about 2 years. I'm very slow. I make mistakes, but I love the fabric that you get from stockinette knitting. So you can't get that any other way. Before the House Cup, I had never tried Tunisian crochet. I really, really enjoy that and have made some absolutely beautiful projects. So all of that just to say that it is make-believe, but it tends to push me, in particular, I'm talking about me because I don't know about everybody else, but it pushes me out of my comfort zone. So anyway, the owl that I had proposed, or that I thought I was going to propose, had 6 projects, I believe. One was an owl sweater that I had not completed from a previous House Cup owl. A knit, long-sleeved, pullover with raglan sleeves sweater. I had most of the body done when I gave up on it before. I think that was 2 years ago. Another project was to finish a pair of socks that I had started, also knitting. I'm on very basic top-down socks, no real pattern to them, just trying to get the hang of it. And I have finished the first sock before the new year, so my idea was to finish the second sock. Also, I was going to finish 2 blankets that were in process. My sock yarn blanket square blanket has about 80 squares completed, and so I was going to sew them into a blanket using yarn, of course. A blanket 8 squares by 10 squares, and my squares are about 6 inches square, so that would make a nice size blanket. Also, I was going to work on my yo-yo blanket, which is little motifs of crocheted yumminess, different colors, and I was going to join all of them together for another blanket. This one would be more baby sized. Okay, those 4 projects made it into the final proposal. Other things I was going to finish were my virus shawl, but when I was getting ready well, I photographed it and was getting ready to propose it for the owl, I realized I had made a unfudgeable error back very near the beginning. So that needed to be frogged all the way back to the first motif, because I have a trouble reading, and and I thought I had memorized it, but I hadn't. I had memorized it incorrectly. So I had the virus shawl. I decided not to do that as part of the detention owl. I've frogged it back to where I need to fix the error and go forward, but I'm not working on it. Also, I had my virus cowl that I was making out of some No Makers yarn in a very pretty purple colorway, but I hadn't gotten far on that, and I decided just to save that for another project. I may reclaim that yarn and use it for something else. I haven't decided. So I think that was where we stood then. So now, where are we after today's, I think, the 15th of January, 2017? Where are we? Okay, so I had told you that I had finished the first sock. Yay, me! It has a heel and a toe, and I decided not to put it on a sock blocker because I didn't want it on a sock blocker for a month or whatever before I finished sock 2, which you see this is using some Peyton's Croy sock yarn. I'm using double pointed needles. I got some little 9-inch circumference circular needles, and I used them on this for just a little bit. And if you see right here where I have a row of purl stitches, that's where I got confused and was knitting upside down, and it was a mess. But I didn't realize it until I was down here, so it's just going to have a little row of interest texture. I am almost, my socks are pretty close to the same, not exactly, but if you see I'm on, you can't really see, I'm sorry, the sun is blocking that out. There's a yellow stripe right before the heel on this sock. Well, I am currently on this yellow stripe. So I'm going to, on this sock, I just did just a basic heel flap. I didn't do anything. I mean, I went by a very simple pattern, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it came out okay. On this one, I'm planning to do a slip stitch heel flap. I was noticing how, you know, some of the people that I follow on Instagram, Christy Rose in particular, she said she always does the heel flap, and her socks are so gorgeous. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that. I've watched videos, so that makes me an expert, right? But that's the plan, and I'm going to wait to do that when I have time to really pay attention. Otherwise, this is just perfect. Throw in your pocketbook and knit, because there's so little to pull out to work on it that it's a really easy carry with you project. There's not, you don't have to haul out a bunch of stuff that keep it in a little bag like this one, which is a fat squirrel bag. And I do recommend, if you don't watch Amy Beth, the Fat Squirrel, on YouTube, I highly recommend her podcast. She is a hoot. She always makes me laugh. Sometimes she makes me cry, but and she's just fabulous. Fabulous. She has a totally different color palette than I do. She likes the muddy earth tones. I have a friend, and you know who you are, who likes that, the earth, the warm, the browns, the golds. Not me. Nope, nope, nope. Not me. I like the brights, the rainbow, the jewel tones. That's me. That's me. Everybody's different, or else everything would look the same, though, right? And here is my sweater. Make sure I don't drop anything. Heaven forbid. Okay. This is a sweater in the round, knit in the round. I think I have about 8 more centimeters, because it's measured from the armpit down here. I've got about 8 more centimeters to knit, and then I will do a little bit of ribbing at the bottom of the sweater. This is the bottom where I'm holding it. It's seeming to take forever. I work on this just all the time. Where that stitch marker is hooked on, I'm sorry about the sun coming through the blinds, but you see where it's hooked on up here. That is how much I have knit since January 1st. And I watch Netflix videos, and I watch YouTube podcasts, and I knit and knit and knit, and then I measure it, and I swear it's less than it was before I started. I'm really slow, I know that, but I'm trying to be very careful and not have any drop stitches, or I don't drop stitches as much as I make little holes, and that comes from me thinking that I've made the stitch and then pulling it off and going on to the next one, when all I did was the yarn over, and then I get a little hole. And if you see it on the next row, it's okay, you can fix it. Or if you see it right away, you can fix it. But if it's down a ways, it's not like a drop stitch where you can go down to get it. It just makes me sad. And I have a lot of those that I have tried to fix up here on the top of the sweater, around the neck. But when I'm finished with this and I get to wear it, it is a Malabrigo sweater. When I get to wear this, I don't care that there's boo-boos all over it. I don't care. I will be so darn proud that this is a sweater I knit. Me. A confirmed crocheter. And I knit it. By far, the sweater is the biggest project that I have. And it's the one that I worry the most about not getting finished in time for the 3 months for the owl. So, because if I don't finish one of the 4 projects, I don't get the points. So that scares me. All right, hold on just a second, and I'm going to get another project to show you. Hold on. Okay, as far as my 2 blanket projects that I'm doing for the owl, I have not touched the sock yarn blanket squares because I have experience in joining blocks to make a blanket, and it's not super fast, but it's a pretty fast thing because I'm just going to seam them and then make the rows, and then join the rows, and it'll be done. And then I'll just have to go around it with a border. So I haven't touched that. But I have touched my yo-yo blanket. This is one piece that I have, which is nice and even and pretty much rectangular. Not this piece. I'm sure, yeah, you can see. It's not edged very well. So what I'm going to have to do is get this into a shape where I can join it to this piece. And then get them into a pretty rectangular piece by adding more of the little yo-yos, which I love. I love all the color. Love all the color. Love all the color. Sorry. I do. I just really do. And so once this is all joined together and pretty much rectangular, I will put a border on it. You can see I haven't been putting in my ends of the yo-yos as that I've added. This is a pattern by Patricia Hewitt. It's a free pattern, and it's super simple. The tedious thing comes in joining. You make one little yo-yo, and when you add the next one, you join it to the first one, and then you join the next one. And so you have to make sure you're doing that right. But I'm really happy with that. And so that is where I am. That's where I am status-wise with the my owl. Darn it. I got up to get this to show you. Now I've got to get up to go get the other ones. Hold on again. I'm sorry. Here we go again. So, the projects that I've shown you were for my owl for Harry Potter Knitting and Crochet House Cup on Ravelry. In addition to the owl, which is a 3-month project, we also have monthly challenges. And I've decided to make a blanket. So with each challenge, I'm making one blanket square. And as I make it, I'm joining it to its previous squares. And here's one. That's really a dark navy, not a purple. And this one. So I have 4 completed blanket squares joined. And what I'm going to do is with all of my classes, I'm just going to keep adding and making this same pattern. Oh my goodness, I think this is a Melinda Miller pattern. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. It's on my Ravelry page if you want to go look. But I love it. I think it's a beautiful square done in a single color. So that's what I had to get up to show you, because heaven forbid you would miss seeing my 4 blanket squares. And these are about 12 by 12 blanket squares. So I've got these 4 joined, and that would be the top row, 4. And then I will come down with probably 5 more rows. And that's a good blanket size. All right. One last thing. This is neither class nor owl. For Harry Potter. It's really not a Harry Potter project. Dun, dun, dun. What it is a use up all of my scraps project. Crochet out of sock yarn scraps. It's the 10-stitch Tunisian blanket. Free pattern on Ravelry. If you go to my project page on Ravelry and you'll see this is the 10-stitch Tunisian. I have the pattern linked, but there's a video on YouTube that is much better than the pattern. And so I just do Tunisian crochet around until I run out of my scrap. The thing I like about this is I can keep doing it until the scrap is completely gone. With the Cozy Memories blanket or the other, mitered squares that you knit. I like that. I'd love to have one, and I may make one because they're really beautiful. But say you made your square, you still have yarn left over. No, I want something that will use up every last scrap. Yes, and I'm also addicted to mini skeins. These are some that I got from the Yarn Hoarder podcast. Lammy Toes. And these are just 40-yard mini skeins that I'm going to use. But I really like doing this. This is after I've knit on that beautiful sweater. This is so nice to do. Just do a couple rows, finish off a color and leave it, and then come back to it. This is living in a fabulous gojenn bag. I made this when I got my sewing machine, and I was so excited. And then, of course, the excitement wore off. But I made some satin pillowcases, and I had some left over, so I lined this bag with satin. Really nice. Makes me happy. So, what about that? That shows you how busy I have been for the first 2 weeks of January. I tell you, I'm glad to be doing those projects. This sweater is driving me crazy. It's so far around for one row. I just don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And on the sock, then when I switch to knitting on the sock, zoom, 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 zoom. It's just because it's a smaller circumference. That's all. I'm hoping that with when I finish eventually the body of the sweater, like I said, I think I've got about 9 centimeters left. Then I will pick up the stitches for the arms at the armholes and start knitting the sleeves. And I'm hoping that the smaller circumference of my arms will help it speed along, and I will get some kind of feeling of accomplishment, because I'm just not I knit for hours on that sweater, it seems, and then when I measure, it's the same. Very frustrating, but I'm learning so much about knitting, working on the sweater. One, I learned I will only make worsted weight sweaters forever and ever, amen. Maybe just bulky weight sweaters that should knit up a lot faster. Also, I am really working on keeping my tension even. I knit continental, and I purl continental, but not very well, so I try to avoid purls. But so the next time I see you all, I will probably do a journal, bullet journal, how I'm set up for 2017 between now and the next time I do a yarny podcast. But I am really hoping to have some progress to show you on the sweater. If I wait 2 weeks, which I may do, just so that I'll have some progress to show you. I'm hoping I'll be onto a sleeve. Yay, let's hope for that. Sleeve, and maybe have the second sock finished and have more progress on the yo-yo blanket. Yep. So, wish me luck. Okay, so tune in next week to see. No, I'm just kidding. I hope that you're making it through the winter. Our bad weather from last week is all gone. There only piles of snow are in parking lots. Things are going pretty well for us. I hope they're going well for you. So until the next time I see you, I wish you nothing but love and laughter.